All right, so let's keep rolling forward. We are done with chapter 4 of season 4. What is the most relevant thing that happened? Well, two big things, right, that happened at the very end of chapter 4. One, we got a tracker planted on Kralk, and I guess that's a good thing because now we can predict his movements, we can track him down, and we can engage Kralk. That's what we want, right? Fight Kralk. However, in the process, we lost Blish. Blish is Dunzo. The tracker on the sword, which was the bait for Kralk to gobble it up, wasn't functioning properly, and the only way he could maintain a power supply to it was by him and his little golem body being the actual power supply. So he took his, to quote Blish, took his higher functions offline. So he shut his self-awareness and his sentience down, if you will, and just simply used his golem body to power the tracker so that we can win this fight against Kralk. So now, as we enter chapter 5, we maybe tactically have gained some sort of advantage, or at least, if not an advantage. I don't think we have an advantage over Kralk, but we have gained something tactically, but we've lost Blish, and that should be like a really sad thing, right? Kaith. Kaith wants to have a conversation with us. But she delayed the conversation because we were having a bad day. Thanks, Kaith. Super appreciate it because God knows you're my favorite, and by favorite I mean least favorite character. Time is of the essence. We need to prepare Aurene and ourselves for the coming storm. Meet me at Sun's Refuge. Oh, well, turns out we're already at Sun's Refuge. All right, in we go. Talk to Kaith. Oh, but that's the setup for Chapter 5. But we actually need to activate Chapter 5. We're entering Sun's Refuge. Will do nothing for us.
Any word from Aurene?
No, not yet. But don't worry. Sometimes she goes off alone when she feels troubled. Always has. Always comes back. I do have an update on our conversation at Sun's Refuge, though. I'm following up on the dwarves.
Still convinced they know something about Glint's legacy?
More than ever. I came to ask Ogden in person, but it seems the Priory isn't keen on a known thief roaming their halls.
Imagine that.
Well, you seem fairly rehabilitated. Maybe they'll feel better if you show up with a chaperone.
Well, that letter literally said, you know what, that letter is probably in reference to something else. It's probably in reference to some stupid collection or something. Who just attacked me? Jacaranda. I hate these things. These things are weird and gross. You know the only weirder and grosser thing than Jacaranda? Also introduced in Path of Fire are the, like the weird spitting plants that have a face like it's from Stranger Things. Man, I hate those things. You can have them as a pet. What are they called? Let's find out. Do I have one? I do not. Iboga. I dislike the Iboga greatly. They're weird and they freak me out. Okay, we weren't meant to be in Sun's Refuge, however. We were meant to come way up here to the Priory. Haven't we been to the Priory? Yeah, there we go. Okay. So let's see what Kaith has for us here in the Priory. Presumably she's kicking it with Ogden, because, Ogden is kind of our guy here in the Priory when it comes to arcane knowledge and so forth. So maybe she's with him. Does it actually say that? It does not. But presumably that is the case. If I remember right, that's the case too. I'm actually just spoiling it, is what I'm doing. Alright, Kaith.
Commander,
what do you want?
A moment. Before we go in, there's something I need to say.
Say it.
All that time I spent guarding the egg, watching over Aurene as a hatchling in Taria.
You raised her.
But then she had you, and it felt like she didn't need me anymore. So I stepped away.
Kaith.
No, let me say this. What's coming is dangerous. Aurene is terrified. I can feel it. She's going to need us. Both of us.
Then it's a good thing we're both here. Come on, let's go have that talk with Ogden.
I genuinely believe that whoever at ArenaNet wrote that little exchange, witnessed an exchange like that between, their divorced parents, who were, making nice for a little bit because, their kid had just entered high school or something. That 100%, everything that happens there. Because really, that's what they do, right? Aurene has, these two caring figures who are kind of separate and distinct and also at odds from time to time, but they both have, this, parental role in Arene's life. It's fine. It's a thing. They did a thing. That's fine. I don't enjoy it, but I also can't completely discount it as a storytelling mechanism because I think it does have a certain functionality in that capacity.
I'm due for a visit.
Why, hello, Ogden. I heard you were due for a visit.
Ogden, it's good to
About time you showed up. We're going to Thunderhead Keep.
We are?
To Glint's Dragon's Blood Forge. How else are we going to kill Kralk?
A new dragon's blood spear.
You lost the first one?
Not now. For Oreen to destroy the Crystal Dragon, Scion and Champion must first prove themselves. There's an extension of Glint's lair protected in the mists. A refuge for her Scion. From there, you can enter her trials.
Oh, good. More trials. Why didn't you mention any of this before?
We were waiting for the signs. Glint's egg hatching, the Lich's death. And the sands of Glint's hourglass have begun to glow. Her Scion's already in the refuge. Go to Oreen, complete the trials. I'll get the word out and meet you at Thunderhead Keep with the Pact.
Minor complaint. Prophecies are a lot more fun when you hear about the prophecy before it's already been fulfilled. Hearing 3 signs way back in like Path of Fire or something, or early in season 4 would have been a lot more rewarding than hearing about these 3 signs now. And they could have been like really like confusing and not clear. What's the word for not clear? Opaque. That would have been great, right? Because we still like now we would be like, oh, I do like that we walk into the room and Ogden's like, we're going to what's the name of the place? I already forgot. Keep Thunderhead Keep. I love that. That's super cool because it's consistent with Ogden. Like that's kind of how Ogden's been. So they remain consistent with his character. That's all good. I just kind of a tiny bit wished that the 3 signs were something that we had heard about at some point before they've manifested. This is an interesting instance. I'm not going to complain about this instance. It's kind of interesting. It's got some cool things. When playing through this on a variety of characters across multiple accounts, it gets tiresome. But as a part of the story, like it's pretty good. And yes, this is Glint. All this right here, and we'll see her better close up. This is dead Glint. And here we find Oreen kind of hanging out with her mother's corpse, which is like super dark, but also I like it. Something ArenaNet just doesn't do enough. So, all right, let's comfort Oreen, as Kaith is as well. Again, Marines actually got both mommy and daddy here now, so for once they're getting along, and Oreen can be like happy about that or whatever.
We haven't thought much about all this from your perspective, have we? This legacy killed your mother, killed your brother, and that vision of it killing you. But I know one thing for certain. Glint would never tell you to do this if there was no hope.
Why are we so certain of that?
We'll all be with you. This isn't only on your shoulders. Well, if you're both ready.
Oreen's very patient with like her emotionally tone-deaf friends. Honestly, all things considered. Quit your grieving. Hurry up. Let's go. I think I have to leave it and get back on it. There we go.
I'll wait for you.
Alrighty then. I guess we will. Let's do it.
Welcome, Scion and Champion. If you're here, the final confrontation with Kralk is imminent. Hope can be powerful, but also dangerous. You must prove that you can strike as one. A better world is waiting to be born. My followers and I developed the resonance crystals that made possible the dragon's blood spear. Creating the crystals, forging the required the channeling of powerful magic. You will see, Scion, that absorbing magic comes naturally. But the power, its temptations, they exact a price.
Alright, so for this first trial,
This magic is powerful and dangerous. Share it with them so she can absorb it.
this first trial, we just need to stay in the circle while Irene's absorbing this magic. It saps our health, but then once she completely absorbs one of the circles, then she pulses out that healing, and then we're back to 100%.
Has many uses, Scion. By choosing to share it and heal wounds, you strengthen your bond with mortals.
Feel the fury.
So I do kind of like that.
As the power grows, so will the dangers and the temptations.
I kind of like that we take damage as we assist Irene in doing this. I like it because there's like this concept of faith, right? That as we continue to take damage, we have this degree of faith that that we can get through it and help Irene with this task. Because that's literally what we're doing. We're trusting that, you know, as that damage chips away at us, it's not going to kill us.
Dangerous.
Feel the fury.
All right, go team.
Well done. When Elder Dragons gorge on magic with abandon, the world falls out of balance. We have no choice but to act. To use power responsibly is to know when and how to share it, and when not to use it at all. Now, can continue to the next trial. Grand magic must be captured and stored before it can be used to your advantage. The crystal before you will absorb magic released by branded creatures.
So one good thing about this instance, one thing that I like that is happening here, we actually want to pull these guys into this circle here. Otherwise, we're never going to charge this circle, or this crystal. One thing that I like here is, unlike sometimes when they do like a really poor job of justifying narrative in the story that explains like gameplay concepts, here they do a pretty good job of that. It feels like relatively organic. It feels like it makes sense that the dialogue does not feel out of place, and yet it's telling us exactly what we need to do. And so that's good. I like it.
Time to do some real damage.
It's stuff like this that I was talking about earlier when I said that, like, in general, I like the instance, but it gets tiresome after doing it repeatedly on different characters across different accounts.
Now you shall see how this captured magic can be put to use.
Because on our first playthrough, like, all this is super interesting. The 15th time, it feels just very laborious. But I suppose that's true of a great many things in the game, right? To include, to some degree, I think that's why, like, encounter design for, like, fractals and strikes and stuff is so important. Because that's the feeling that you want to avoid.
Kralk and his minions share a common resonance. This strength can also be a weakness. With the right resonance, crystal can not only be broken, but molded, shaped.
I am unaware of any scientific basis for that, but it's cool. It's a cool concept. I dig it.
Okay, Aurene, let's charge these crystals.
Please come into the circle. Please. Somebody? Anybody? Thank you. Oh, you guys are the best. So there's a weird achievement here that I've not really figured out a good way to get. If we had a pull, it'd be much easier, but we want to get one branded killed in each, or one of these vet ogres here, killed in each one of these circles as part of charging the circles. So see, I messed that up now because he's still there. We didn't pull him, and that crystal's done. There's an achievement for that. I don't even know if I have it on my main account, if I'm being honest, because I have such a hard time getting, getting that vet in there and killing it without accidentally like finishing that particular crystal. I don't, like I said, I don't know that I haven't. I also don't know that I've ever specifically tried to get it. Obviously, there are some classes that have like really fantastic pulls, and if I were to use those, like, what is a monster pull? Dragon Hunter has a huge pull, right? So that would be like a good example of maybe a class that I need to come through, and or an elite spec that I need. Hey, you guys, come on, get over here. Areen. Jeez. You're the worst, Areen. Maybe I need to come through here with a Dragon Hunter sometime and get that taken care of. Of course, on this account, I don't have a Dragon Hunter. I don't get into Guardian these days like a whole bunch. When I very first started the game 10, almost 11 years ago, my number one class, or my kind of the class I started with, was Warrior. The second one was Guardian. These days, I extremely rarely play Guardian. I will not deny like the incredible power of Quick Brand, or not Quick Brand. I mean, yes, Quick Brand, but that's not the actual name of the elite spec. What's the name of that elite spec? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Some of the Guardian elite specs are good, and I acknowledge that. I just don't enjoy playing. Firebrand. Areen, please.
I choose
Imagine how much easier this instance would be if Areen stayed in the circle. If they just like programmed that NPC to stay in a certain place. Amazing.
Focus on your link with the Scion. Channel her power, and together you can direct the crystal's magic.
Alright, so we gathered up all that magic with those 3 crystals, channeled it through this tuning crystal, I guess, which, it's tuning fork shaped, right? Into this, which is where the spear was forged. So now we have, as a special action key here, a dragon's blood spear that we're going to kind of mess around with and try to make work. Now, there is another achievement here if we can get a whole bunch of these enemies kind of lined up like they are right now. Whoop, then I got knocked down. If we can hit a certain number of them at the same time, I already have the achievement, so it's not going to do anything here. Pretty sure I do, at least. What's this? Oh, no. Pierce 4 or more branded with a single use. Why didn't I get it there a second ago? Huh. Anyway, yeah, the goal being to line these guys up, and then you get that achievement. Apparently, I botched it up, though, so... whatever, man. So this is a really powerful skill too, this Dragon Blood Spear thing.
Yeah, that'll do.
Use this knowledge in the battle ahead. Forge weapons and strike your enemies. Now, proceed to the final trial.
I quite like the final trial. Quite a bit. Quite a bit, quite a bit. Areen, you ready? It seems they knew when they designed Glint's lair what a cool space they had designed, because they've used it multiple times throughout the story. And every single time, I feel like it's a big winner. Even if the gameplay in that instance may or may not be fun, like it always feels super cool to be here. It's just extraordinary to look at.
Is absolute. His will inexorable. In him you will meet your greatest fears. Summon courage.
Aureen, wait! We need to work together!
Man, Aureen just wrecking everything, right? So we see that she destroys a whole bunch of branded, including this branded Wyvern lieutenant guy over here. More branded burning over here. So she's kind of on a rampage and kind of gets out ahead of us, right? And that's the point of this whole training, as we see more wrecked branded on our way. The whole point of this trade, that is a storytelling mechanism. That's not just fun to look at. The point of this training is for us to work together, and she's getting carried away not doing that. And they've kind of written that into her character. That'll continue off and on for a long time. But it's a much more effective and subtle use of like a character flaw, like a hero's foil kind of thing.
Might make of you, champion. You fear for her survival and the world's.
Okay, this is cool too. We got branded Aureen as our adversary here, and I like that. That's good stuff.
I'm right here with you.
So use the spears to break the break bar. Can you do it with non-spear skills? I think so. I don't know. Just now, like using, what's that called? Winter's Bite. It stopped the break bar from regenerating, and it didn't look like it took a whole lot off of it. But yeah, use that for sure.
That's not you, Aureen, and it never will be.
It's gonna make this fight a lot easier, for sure. Strongly endorse the spear. And there are some achievements associated with the spear too. What do we got here? Execute a powerful cooperative strike. How did I not get that last time I did this? Trial by fire. Don't get hit by the breath attacks. And branded. Oh, we still have the option of getting branded on a stick? Oh, well, maybe if we can get a few of these guys together, maybe we'll try that. Seems unlikely, though.
Feel the fury.
Oop.
We heal as one.
Ah, man. That tornado's wrecking me. Alright, should be just about done with this, yes?
Time to do some real damage. We heal as one.
We still have not executed that powerful attack with the Reen, though. I forget how you do that. I've genuinely forgotten how it works. Anyway, doesn't matter, we won.
Defeated your worst fears made manifest. Remember, work together, fight together, and triumph together. Now, I have a gift of understanding for each of you. Scion, my beloved child, there are things about ascension that can only be expressed between dragons. Champion, come forward and learn how this long journey began.
Really? Is that what we need to do? A history lesson? Alright, let's get our history lesson. Let's do it.
With you, champion, I share my true legacy and Kralkatoric's greatest secret. He foresaw the possibility of a world at peace. A world without strife between dragons and mortals. A world without him.
Alright, so we got two things going on here, right? We got the dialogue, and then we got kind of what's unfolding here in the middle. So we see kind of movement. They seem to be gravitating towards the center.
It terrified him. He demanded I help prevent it from coming to pass. But where he saw doom, I saw a gift to the world. I believe in this future, this fragile, powerful hope. But what my daughter must do will seem impossible to her.
So there is something very specific that Glint's referencing there when she says what she must do, must seem impossible to her. And we get that towards the end of this chapter. So it's not quite as like willy-nilly as some of the other stuff. It is very deliberate.
Now, leave this place. I will open the way to Thunderhead Keep. Use the Dragon's Blood Forge. Arm your allies for the battle of their lives. And face the Crystal Dragon.
Okay. I'll do that, Glint. Thank you. Alright, so what do we got here? We got all these people like cheering and like a rallying around Irene. Okie dokie. I guess that's a vision of what's to come. Here we go. Thunderhead Keep. Oh, look, it's Kaith. Hi, Kaith.
Finally. I knew you'd have your hands full, but I didn't think it would take 2 days.
2 days? It felt like a fraction of that.
Aureen, you feel different.
I think we both are. We passed the trials. Ready as we'll ever be.
Then let's go. They're waiting for us at Thunderhead Keep.
Oh, man, you see that? Kaith says something to Irene, and then the commander just speaks on Irene's behalf. Like, doesn't even give Irene the opportunity to respond. Gross. Gross, commander. So disrespectful.
There's our way out.
After you.
Ready for more.
So regardless of what you think of that instance there, I will say that I at least in my opinion, entering this for the first time felt really cool. There are parts of this map that I don't love. When you get down here, like this doesn't feel like particularly interesting. It just feels kind of ugly and uninteresting, which is where one of the meta events takes place. The other meta takes place like up here. But this, when you entered, at least for me, when I entered this initially, when they first launched this story. This felt super cool to walk out here, see all this, and like, of course, we didn't have Skyscale yet. That wouldn't come for a little bit. Chapter 6 will give us Skyscale, although obviously we already have it now. But just seeing this and knowing, okay, the bunny can get up here, I could jump there and grab that. So it looked like an area that was meant to actually be played in. Not just a repository for a single event, not just a repository for, a one story chapter, but like, this looked like an area that was actually like meant to kind of be fun and interesting. Having said that, it actually ended up kind of more being just a place where certain things happen, and it didn't ultimately manifest as a place where, like, the way I'm talking about, where it feels good to spend a lot of time. But it didn't feel that way when I initially entered. I was very excited about this map when I first entered this map. And when they dropped this map, they did also drop a set of mount skins, which included Griffin, which at the time they weren't doing a lot of. Most mount skin sets were only the 4 core mounts and didn't include Griffin. So they did drop one at the release of this chapter that is like kind of like has like Nordic runes and stuff on it. Let's see if we can find it. We can kind of preview mount skins, right? Mounts, Raptor. Oh my gosh, there's so many of them though. Stupid mount skin boxes. Let's see, what do we got here? Shiver Peaks. Okay, so that's the set. So you got like kind of like some runic stuff sort of going on here, and you got like fur because it's wintry, and then they got some armor plate and stuff. And not awakened. Shiver Peaks. I thought that was a pretty good mount skin set. It's not way over the top, right? Because so many of these are like way over the top. I kind of like that one, but it is way over the top. And like the shiny gold ones, or the ones that are on fire. The ones that are on fire are just the worst. Like, I don't know, man. Is there an excuse for this? I don't feel like there's an excuse for that. This is one of the expensive ones, kind of. Is it? No, it's not actually. Anyway, some of them were way over the top. I felt like the ones dropped when this chapter dropped were pretty good. And so it's actually one of the very few times I bought mount skins.
I take it the trials went well.
Look at this place. Glint's secret forge under an ancient dwarven keep.
I've seen better.
Logan's here with the pact. Same with Rox and the Omicon. Saida too. She gave us a ride after I filled her in. The whole crew's gearing up for Kralk.
Do I hear singing coming from the forge?
The Zephyrite Choir, an integral part of the forging process. My people built this place, but the Zephyrites and Exalted have cared for it since the days of Glint.
Hope everything still works. We've got an army to equip with Dragon's Blood weapons.
Speak to the Forge Master, Helena. She'll get you started.
So, side note. Oh, Timmy, do you also have a side note? All right, you first.
Timmy, how are you feeling? You look a little tired.
See? I told you. You need to rest. Tell her, Commander. She never listens to me.
She's doing fine, thanks. Gork, why don't you update the commander on our progress, huh?
We've been using the data from the tracker.
It's giving us way more than we expected. Kralk's vitals, the magic he's channeling, plus all the tracking data. We're seeing him take real damage from Glint's army, and every time we slam one of his rifts shut.
Good. Gods know we want him as weak as possible before we face off.
We were also able to evacuate several villages before his minions broke through.
Every time you get the word out, you two are saving lives.
We three.
All right, so note that all this is now continuing, and Blish has just kind of forgotten. This dialogue from Gorik here is kind of all we get as like a remembrance of Blish. The fact that Gorik kind of, has like feelings about the tracker, and he says we three when she says we two, referring to the two of them. That's it. There you go. There's our goodbye to Blish. Sorry, Blish. That's the best you can hope to get, I guess. Good job, Rena. So this heart, by the way, this was a side note I was about to mention. This is a really, really, really easy heart. Super fast, right? You get on your mount, and where there's just one unhappy face at a time,
It's hard to keep fighting.
hit the special action
but I
key,
know you have it in you.
and then move to the next one. Where's another single guy? Or gal or whatever. Okay, there we go. Pack soldier,
It's hard to
bam.
keep
Now
fighting,
they're happy.
But I know
Ignore
you
the
have
big
it in
groups
you.
until your little bar here is full. Alright, there's one hiding back here. And you can move on.
Either
Special action key,
Kralk
move
ends
on.
the world, or we end
Commander
him.
will say stupid things, nobody cares.
It's hard to keep fighting, but I know you have
Alright,
it in you.
our green bar is getting close to full. We need to do like one more single one. And then we can come over and hit some big groups. And we're like done with the heart. Where's one more? Holy smokes. I usually take this like a very specific route. So I'm kind of like disoriented right now.
Kralk ends the world, or we end him.
Man, so hardcore, Commander, so hardcore. Big group. Now that our bar's full, we can do these big groups.
Pick yourselves up.
Look, bar's almost full.
Ash, Iron, and Blood Legions. I believe in you. Completely.
One more big group and we should be done. There you go. Now we can buy map currency. So, super easy. If you find yourself in a position where you're needing to farm map currency, that's the heart that I strongly recommend. Go bananas on it. Heck, camp like 8 characters there. There is a limit to how much you can buy per day on of map currency that way. I don't remember if it's... I don't remember what it is, so you'd want to check that out. But, like, that's the heart to use.
We've waited a long time for this.
Forge Master. Heard you can arm us to fight an Elder Dragon.
Indeed. The Dragon's Blood Forge is ready, but we will need a special oil to quench the weapons, or they'll shatter. The dredge extracted on the ice flow to the southwest. I sent your friends to retrieve some, but they haven't returned.
I'll see if I can hurry them along.
So normally I don't actually love when we show up to do like a relatively straightforward thing, right? We came to a forge to forge a thing. Here's the forge. Normally when we get to the thing and then it's like, hey, you're going to spend this entire chapter just doing chores to make this singular thing work, that oftentimes doesn't feel good. For whatever reason, I'm kind of willing to give it a pass in this story instance. Maybe because it would be kind of silly to think that we can just show up to a forge and have, you know, an ancient forge that's been around for a gazillion years and assume that everything that we need is just going to be sitting there waiting for us, right? So whereas on some of the previous chapters, it was like, oh, hey, glad you're here to do this one singular thing. But before you do it, can you please do this, like, whole list of chores for us? Because we're the people who live here and it's really important to us. I always felt like that's not the best way to spend, like, a Living World chapter. But here it feels a little bit different for me. I don't have as much heartburn with it. Just because I think it kind of jives with the idea that we're trying to, you know, to find a way to put this forge to work. Are we going the right way? I don't remember which way we go. Ish. We're going the right way, ish.
Got some information if you want it, Commander.
I don't, actually. Appreciate it, though. It was nice of you to think of me. Thanks, Betty. Alright, so I'm not sure which meta events come up. There are 2 meta events on this map. Each one gives you like half a key to like this like treasure chamber type thing. One of them takes place right through here. You can also go around though. You can also go like what's like around from, there's like a waypoint right here on the other side of the door we're about to go through, and you can come up and around. You don't have to go through this door. But this door being closed kind of tells us that the meta event's not happening right now. Right? The other one, like I said, way down to the south. I prefer that northern one to the southern one by like a large margin. I think it's a much better meta event.
Looking for information, Commander?
Nope. I'm good. Thanks, though. So this chapter did come with a really good weapon set. Actually, two weapon sets. A weapon set that's exotic, and then a variation of that which is ascended and has like a few extra effects to it. So it's kind of aesthetically, it's like 1.5 weapon sets, but it came with a really good weapon set that that can be upgraded to ascended. Um, really like them quite a lot. It requires a lot of map currency, and I never quite motivated myself enough to finish it. I think I have maybe 6 or 8 of them unlocked, but not all of them. One of these days I will circle back around, because not only does it require a whole bunch of map currency, it also requires like a rarer drop, which originally you only got from that treasure room that I mentioned earlier. Now there are some other ways of getting it. You can actually get it from the map currency nodes and stuff. I don't know. Here, we'll mine again. Maybe we'll get freakishly lucky and I can actually like show it off. Let's try. Nope. Nope. It's called like a serpentite crystal or something like that. Kind of looks like a what's the name of it? It's like a little brownish stone with like orange kind of streak through it or something like that. Kind of like tiger's eye or something. But yeah, so there you go. If you really need like long-term goals to work towards, the weapons associated with this map. And what's nice is they don't feel like as like bizarrely labor intensive or like weirdly obscure as like the ones from Chapter 4 Season 1, which do feel like like getting the Kralk crystal or whatever. It just feels awful, really, really awful. Whereas getting the map currency on this map might feel like kind of like laborious, like there's just a lot that goes into it and doesn't necessarily feel good, but it doesn't feel just stupidly punishing the way Kralk does. The what is it, branded masters or whatever? It feels much more manageable, especially these days.
Commander, the oil vats are sealed with brand crystals, and even if they weren't, Varya here seems disinclined to share.
We lost half our people to the brand, our rigs too. And now you want what little oil we have left?
We want the same thing, Varya. One less Kralkatork in the world. I could crack the brand crystals off your vats and equipment. Would that make you feel a bit more generous?
It might.
All right. So now we see that like these have spawned. They weren't there a second ago. Now they are. And this is like, all right. This is the brand that they were just talking about. We're gonna bust this stuff, and that's going to help endear us to these dredge, because we need the oil that these dredge are like, refining or whatever. Do you mine for oil? You don't mine for oil. Do you oil? Well, what do you? I don't know. All right, great big piece of brand. Knocked us right on our ass. Turns out that's more difficult than we thought.
A dragon! It's Irene!
Oh, hi, Irene. Thanks, Irene. Super appreciate it.
Thanks, Aurene, but we don't want Kralkatork's attention just yet. Maybe head back underground. Check on Timey for me.
Oh yes, by all means, check on Timey!
Shut up, Timey.
Well, Varya, where do we stand?
You kept your word. I'll give you what we can spare. If your friends can get our rigs running again, there'll be more.
We'll make sure the oil gets to the Forge Master.
Commander, once you've got oil, we'll need a new weapon mold. Forge Master Helena says the old one cracked. She suggests we talk to the dwarves. Robon's around, but he's just ahead, so here's Ogden.
What do I... Hello?
Ogden, we need a new mold for casting the weapons. Any ideas?
There's Frodak Steelstar. Never met him, but the Dragon's Blood Spear was his pride and joy. He'd know.
Sounds like just the dwarf. Where can I find him?
Well, he's dead. But that never stopped you before. Might be a clue in his tomb. Have a look, and take notes for me.
Alright. So, here's our daily reminder that death doesn't mean anything in Tyria. Let's go find this dead dwarf and see what we're going to need to do to find a new cast for Spear. Again, don't really have a problem with the fact that we need to, run down a cast. That's fine. Is it weird that... Or, a new mold, I'm sorry. Is it weird that we would need that, in a centuries-old forge? Nah, that's not weird. Is it weird that we're going to try and find a dead guy to get it? Yeah, I would argue objectively that is weird.
Am I all shiny?
Lucky for us, his ghost is literally right here. What if his ghost had not been right here?
Leave my stuff alone!
Excuse me. Do you know where I can find the tomb of Frodak Steelstar?
You found it! What do you want?
I'm looking for a mold. Need to cast some weapons to kill Kralk.
Are you? What happened to the first spear we made? Oh, right. You broke it. Yeah, that's right. I know who you are. Word gets around. Ghosts gossip. Not a lot else to do in the mists. You know. You know.
I do. So can you help me?
I could if I could go in my own damn tomb. Not stand wavelengths in there trespass. I can hear you!
So you're saying there's another mold in there I can take?
You bet your dragon-killing boots. Here, take this plate. You'll need it to get inside. You're in for it now, pal!
Alright. So, remember in Path of Fire, when we destroyed the original Dragon's Blood Spear? Remember how it was obviously a really stupid idea? So now we have a bunch of NPCs, Kate, and now this guy, and whoever else, saying, why did you break the first spear? Well, because we weren't given a choice in the narrative design. I feel like most players are smart enough. Most players would not have destroyed the spear given some sort of choice. So now it feels really good, having been given no choice, to have NPCs talk smack about it and mock us for something that the story made us do. Thank you, ArenaNet, for that. As usual, you have all the storytelling prowess of an intoxicated child. Frodak.
Plenty more handy stuff in these ruins, by the way. But plenty of locked gates, too. And some of the ghosts around here are real jerks. Always moving the damn plates around.
Good to know.
Okay, that's not so much a reference to the story here. This part, the story portion of this, is very straightforward. We're going to take this plate, we're going to go through the door that has the matching color and symbol on the plate, and we're going to get the mold that we need. What he's referring to is the overall, when I talked about the treasure room, when you gather the two pieces of the key, you go up, and then you can see we got some different colors and stuff up here, different rooms. It's kind of like a puzzle. You can see we got some different doors around here and stuff. That's all, more colors, more symbols. That's what ultimately leads you to the treasure. That whole puzzle, that whole process. It's kind of cool a couple times, and then it stops feeling quite as cool and starts feeling like a lot of work for no reason. You can actually waypoint friend in there. I don't know that that's very common anymore because the map is so underpopulated, but it did used to be a thing that people would do. People would waypoint to someone who was already in there, thus bypassing the puzzle and getting what it is they wanted. Alright, so this guy, by the way, has what we're looking for. It wasn't in that sarcophagus. It was never going to be in that sarcophagus. This is just how this part of the story plays out. These hatchlings are oddly tough. What is all my projectiles hitting there? Weird. You know what? That's fine.
Wither.
So interesting thing, when this first released, for whatever reason, they hadn't actually coded it to where something like this would appear. You just looted it from the body, and there was no green star. You just looted the body, and players got like really confused about that. So then they added that little thing where there's like a visual thing to grab. You see, we're still not like carrying it or anything. They didn't go through the trouble to do that, but they had to add something because people were getting like really frustrated. Like people were getting like stopped in their story progress there because they didn't understand it, and then they were putting in like trouble tickets and stuff. So it's kind of interesting in that capacity. People were really upset about it, and it needed to be fixed because you shouldn't be confusing your players like that, and that's what was happening. Nothing more to say? All right, cool. Because I really do not have anything. Oh wait, this isn't actually the way though. Yep. Thank you for taking that that poke at us for, again, something that was very clearly stupid right from the get-go, and the narrative team made us do anyway. Appreciate that, Frodek. Alright, so we got the oil. Now we have the mold. I don't feel like running. Usually I'll just run across that whole way. I don't feel like doing that right now, so we'll pay the 1 silver. I like it when assets don't populate. There we go.
Alright, we have oil and we have a mold.
Indeed.
Then you're ready to cast the first weapon. Bring the mold to the quenching pools.
Okay. Will do. Look how giant that is. How are we carrying that around?
The fire you hear will vibrate the crystal at the proper frequency. When you and the scion release the crystal's resonance, the raw material will become malleable. Last time we used a shard from Kralk's body. Now we shall use brand crystals from the dragon's minions.
Okie dokie. Let's do it. Oh, yeah, we gotta ask Irene to help us. She's like chilling over here. Hey, you on the other side of these bars.
Maureen, you're up. Same as in the trials.
Why is she like all by herself in this giant ass cave? I feel like gradually, a little bit at a time, she's getting like really like emotionally damaged.
Only a shape for now and rough, but the promise of beauty is there.
Alright, so remember there's a crystal here. See how it's gone now, and instead we have like molten, you know, metal or stone or whatever flowing into the mold.
Ready to quench the weapon.
Alright.
Now, quench it in the pool.
Okay.
Worthy of Glint's forge.
Glad you approve. Now to try it out on the branded.
Indeed, let's try it out on the branded.
Waiting for you when you return.
Good, as you should. Alright. So we need to try this thing out. So let's do exactly that. We need to kill like 10 or whatever it is branded using the spears. No big deal.
The Priory put me here to scout the area. Got findings if you want them.
So I don't love this circle just because, like, really there's only branded kind of like down here. Like the rest of this circle there's only branded if there's certain events taking place and stuff. Why didn't they just put the circle like slightly further south and make it way easier for us to complete this? It's really weird to me. But I don't know. You know, like what am I'm not in charge of anything. So what do I know? Maybe it's exactly how it should be. See that? Like we're right at the edge of the circle.
Anyone seen Zafira?
Not since we got here.
Said she had something important to do.
Okay. Let me know when she gets back.
Okay, it's only 5, so we're at 4 out of 5. Let's see, is there... Sometimes there's some up here. Oh, we're not in the circle anymore. Boo. See? Really stupid placement of the circle. Yeah, we might just have to wait for them to respawn. Now, obviously, if we gone in that northern circle, there's probably a whole mess of them. Not sure. I wonder if that commander is waiting to do... I don't know what meta event's coming up next. If the northern meta event were happening, this would take us all about 6 seconds to try to get this. Let's see. Are there any more that we can kind of try and pull to where we're close enough to get credit? No. Really good design. Alright. No problem.
Commander, want to know what the Priory knows?
I already know what the Priory knows. This is what I was talking about. You don't have to go through the door. The area where the meta takes place is actually always accessible. No great secret. It's not like this is some kind of, like, you know, super clever thing. Sometimes people don't realize. Alright, are we inside the circle up here? Close. Wonder if we'll get credit for this guy. Yep, good.
Timey, you there?
No, you rest. What is it?
Gorik? Is everything okay?
Everything's fine.
Well, we are seeing ghosts appear for no obvious reason, but they're not hostile, so technically, yes, strange, but fine.
Huh. Well, I tested the new spears. Not as powerful as the original, but they'll do if we make enough for everyone.
I'll check with the Forge Master and run the numbers.
We're on it.
We're on it. Alright, well, if they're on it, let's go check in with them and see what they're on. So we're good, right? We got spears. Are we ready? I mean, like, are we just straight up ready to fight Kralk? I don't know. You know what? Let's call it here for today. Let's do that. Then we can pick up tomorrow and finish off chapter 5. Maybe even start on chapter 6. Alright, so where are we at right now? Welp, we're tracking on Kralk pretty good, thanks to the tracker, which tracks things, and in this case, Kralk. Unfortunately, Blish is now part of the tracker, so he is long gone, and we're pretty sad about it, but apparently not sad enough to actually mention it in the story. Once he's dead, we just kind of move on, going from chapter 4 to chapter 5. So now we have found out, thanks to Glint and like the prophecies of Glint and like the spirit of Glint and whatever, prophecy crystals and stuff, that it is time for us to confront Kralk, and Areen has a very important role to play, and we need to work together with Areen to make this happen. But we also need Dragon's Blood Spears. Now, because the commander destroyed the Dragon's Blood Spear, again, not the player's choice, that means we have to make new ones. Thank you for that cool story arc, ArenaNet. And so now we're in the process of making Dragon's Blood Spears, so that we can fight Kralk. Behind me you see this nifty forge. Got like fans and stuff. I mean, it is kind of a cool setting. But completely unnecessary, because we shouldn't have had to forge more spears in the first place, but that's what we're doing. So when we come back, now that we've got everything we need to forge the spears, we're going to start moving towards the actual battle with Kralk. Yeah. Next time we come back, battle with Kralk. Looking forward to it. All right, thank you, and enjoy your Saturday.